Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's a Sunday today, the 2nd of July. As part of our political education, we are looking into the elections in Zimbabwe. In this video, we're discussing a possible win by ZANU PF. It all points to a ZANU PF electoral victory. But why is it so? We need to understand the ZANU PF as a political formation. What are the principles that guide the ZANU PF, which at this point we can speak of a victory, electoral victory on the 23rd of August 2023 in the Zimbabwean election. ZANU PF modeled itself during the struggle for national liberation as a Marxist Maoist formation. We have argued that ZANU PF is not a communist party, but we are not going to get into this. But it is not a communist party. We should underline that. It defines itself as a socialist in character. But during the war, it modeled itself around the principles or Maoist principles in terms of its organization, defining itself or characterizing itself as Marxist Maoist. And you know that we define ourselves or characterize ourselves as Marxist Leninist. We'll deal with the differences later on in some future videos. But as we go to these elections, ZANU PF is set to win these elections on the 23rd of August 2023. It has approached these elections as it has done in the past, guided by what is called basic principles of Maoist organization. Every year, ZANU PF as a former liberation movement and the other former liberation like the African National Congress, SWAPO, Frelimo, they go to China for political education. This has helped ZANU PF in reorganizing itself for an electoral victory. And I must point out that it will be interesting because we had said the main competitor is the Triple C led by Nelson Chamisa. It will be interesting to also understand how Triple C is organized. What are the guiding organizational principles? Because you cannot organize a political formation along protest lines, or to try and put it more correctly, you cannot build a mass movement as a protest movement if it does not have guiding principles. You build it as a protest movement. If conditions change, the movement will suffer. So it will be interesting to also look into what guides the Triple C. So ZANU PF implements Maoist organizational principles. What are these principles? Mao argued that one of the things that an organization must do is to serve the people. It is a key principle. Serve the people. And I know that many will say, given the state of our economy, how is the ZANU PF serving the people? ZANU PF has identified its constituents. I might say it has given up, over the years it gave up on the working class. It tried to form a trade union which was led by Gino Timber. It did not go anywhere. And it literally gave up on the working class, on the urbanites. Though in 2018 it began to make some inroads, winning a seat in Bulawayo and a seat in Harare. This time around they've deployed the finance minister in Country Park a working class constituency. So we are yet to see how it is going to perform in that particular constituency. But it has gone to the rural communities, working with the traditional leaders and the other rural-based formations to serve the people. You will recall some few years back, there were these, what we criticized, the bakeries built using mud, where villagers will come, flour to bake bread. We're laughing at all those. But what did that mean to a rural person? If we were to gather 50 people in a village to do that. So it's a principle of serving the people. So we might argue and say, but is this the meaning of serving the people? When people now depend on freebies, we are, in the next few months, will be going into the farming season. We always see the distribution of farming seeds, fertilizer, and so on. Yes, it is not enough. Yes, we do not agree with it. We believe that people should be able to purchase those if you create or if you rebuild the economy. But what does that mean to the rural electorate? Because to them, they identify with the ZANU PF through those projects. So it's a key principle of serving the people. But you cannot serve the people when you are not amongst the people, when you have no structures in communities. When I was in Zimbabwe, I went to my village some months ago. I did videos which are in this YouTube channel. That Triple C was not visible in rural communities. It was only ZANU PF. They were running a program of war collaborators for them to be compensated. So the key principle that ZANU PF is using, particularly in its constituents, rural constituents, is demonstrated also by the massive rally it held in Chipinge last weekend. And this weekend, it held another massive rally in Bulilima, in Plumtree. We might argue again that it passes people countrywide. But what does that mean to local people when suddenly thousands and thousands and thousands of people gather in one event? What does it mean when then people go out, go back to their communities? Those coming to the venue of the rally, wearing the ZANU PF regalia, it makes it so visible in every way. The second principle that Mao spoke about, he says, find weaknesses within yourself and struggle against it. ZANU PF, over the years, it has always found a way of containing its membership. The opposition over the last 20 years or so has been splitting, splits after splits. The only split that nearly happened in ZANU PF was when Mugabe was removed by the military. But the G40 component did not really form a movement or a party as a splinter group. There were disagreements. Others then formed a party, but the majority rallied behind the MTC alliance then. So ZANU-PF has tried, even through the primary elections, to find disputes among itself. It held primary elections early, chose its candidates, and allowed the time for conflict resolution for those who felt cheated in winning. And now they've turned that weakness into a strong political tool, where everyone except one or two, one I think who's standing as an independent, to be part of the party machinery as we go to 2023 elections. This one, it says be principled without being dogmatic. Of course, ZANU-PF is not principled. On this one, it has not fared well on this one. The principle says be principled without being dogmatic. You do not know everything, and you never will. There is no all-powerful, omniscient, invisible ideology. What ZANU-PF has done on this principle, at this stage, we will not know whether ZANU-PF pursues what it calls, it borrows from China, socialism with the Zimbabwean characteristics, or it is pushing a neoliberal agenda. In its 2018 manifesto, it was pushing a neoliberal agenda. I've been trying to get their manifesto. I failed so far. They seem not to have a manifesto on soft copy. I've been asking to say, comrades, send us your manifesto, want to see. Those that I know in ZANU-PF, they keep on saying, no, Comrade Mapena will send to you once we get a soft copy. We want to look into it and say in 2023, what are they saying in their manifesto? Want to look into 10 principles, but because of time, let's conclude by this one. We'll continue in looking into Mao's principles. The fourth principle says, to win over people means providing, to win people over means proving the correctness of Marxism, Leninism, Maoism in practice through on-the-ground work. So it is the correct application of the theory. What has ZANU-PF done over the years? It has recruited, which will come to propaganda later on, it has recruited the best minds in its ranks, in its propaganda machinery, to win over the propaganda war. To them, which we spoke about, Comrade Fikile Mbalula and the ANC, to them, the economic collapse is as a result of sanctions. What is so fascinating about ZANU-PF members, when you speak to someone, a senior official in ZANU-PF, at head office, what that person says at head office is what the grassroots member says. They've been able to transmit their messaging. If you go to a village, to a ZANU-PF member, he might not put it word for word on what the leadership is saying at head office, but it's a similar message. So in terms of transmitting their message in terms of transmitting their ideology, they've done well. This is why ZANU-PF members do not boycott an election. It is not easy to recruit ZANU-PF members at grassroots into another political formation, because their ideas are rooted in the struggle for national liberation. Right? And this is what ZANU-PF has been communicating over the years. So to them, the issue of land reform, chaotic as it was, it is a continuation of a struggle for national liberation. They seem to understand the line of march. I know, I know that I will come under fire for raising these issues, because many people that follow this YouTube channel, people in urban areas. But as I'm concluding, ZANU-PF is guided by Maoist organizational principles. All these professional leaders undergo political education in China once a year or so. And this has assisted them in organizing the party and prepare it for an election. We will conclude with the last remaining Maoist principles, Maoist organizational principles that are a guiding principle to ZANU-PF. And then you look into what are the principles, organizational principles that guide Triple C. Please share your views in the comment section. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, Amandla Comrades.